ICS2O. This is our second lesson in our, I think it's our last unit, should be anyway, on Turing. And we're talking about something called arrays today. And arrays are a very, very useful and important concept in computer science. And we're going to talk about them today and see how we can use them to make our programs maybe a little more efficient. That's the idea. What's an array? An array is a data structure that stores many values of the same type. So you had an example where you had to read in a bunch of friends. Well, we had, 10 friends. Well, that means 10 variables. So doesn't it make sense that we might be able to store them somehow in one data structure? And that's what we do. It's called an array. And here's the syntax. So declaring an array starts with, and this looks complicated, and I suppose it is compared to the stuff that we've been doing so far, but it's also somewhat familiar, where we have the first thing is the keyword var, and then whatever we pick for our array name, and then the keyword, a colon there, and then the keyword array, and then S and E here are numbers. Okay, they're integers of data type. So this is telling us how many of data type. Well, data type is, and we'll get to this in a second in the note, what kind of data we want to be storing, whether it's integers or strings or real numbers, that sort of thing. So S is the starting index of an array. It's usually 1. Usually we start counting with 1. And then E is the ending index of the array. So that's how many we want to actually have, how many spots. And data type is what data type we want, integer, real, string. We could even have booleans if we wanted to, but and so here's an example. So var my friends colon array 1 to 10 of string. So okay, here's my Turing thing. Let's put that in there. Var my friends 1 dot dot. Let's see, make sure I got that right. My friends array 1 dot dot 10 array 1 dot dot 10 of string. And notice all those correct words actually went bold, so it's recognized it. And if I run it, oh yeah, nothing happens. But it's because I'm not doing anything with my array at all. And so this declares the array. What's the next thing? Well, we need to start filling this array with values, like names of our friends, for instance, and that's the next thing. We'll do that in a second. But I want to show you a picture here. The picture is, when I declare it, this is an array, and what happens in memory is it stores a bunch of different spots. So 1 to 10 stored 10 spots, and the values that we actually wanted to store are somewhere in memory, and then we kind of refer to those positions with a number in brackets. So my friends 1 equals third would be how we start assigning values, and we'll see that in the next part of the note. And I'll come back to this picture. You don't necessarily have to draw this picture. You could take a snapshot of that picture, I suppose, if you wanted to, if you're using Smart Notebook, but you don't need to include this picture if you don't want to. Next thing, assigning values to an array, and we sort of said this. My friend 1 colon equals third, my friend 2 colon equals thirdette, and this tells us what array we're using, and when you see the brackets in there, that shows that it's an array. In which position? So when we looked at the picture, when I called my friends an array, it kept 10 spots open, and then we started filling it with values, and we can access those values with its what's called an index or position. If this reminds you of strings a little bit, remember, if my friends was a string and then we went my friends 1, that would give us the first position of the string my friends. But it's an array, so it's giving us the first position in the array. They go together, strings and arrays, don't they? That's why we talked about these in back-to-back classes. Okay, it says, and so on. And we can assign them all like that if we would like. So for instance, now if I wanted to, here I could have my friends 1 equals Ferd. And if I wanted to, I could put my friends 2 equals Ferdette. Dandy. No problem. And if I wanted to, then I could print them out. And then I'm going to print out my friends 1. And that should actually print out friends, the word friends, and then the value that my friends 1 has, which is Ferd. Friends, Ferd. Dandy. Okay, so that's working. And that's kind of convenient. And using arrays, it's the same as the variable type stored in the array. So since my friend 2 was a string, then we can treat it like a string. We can print it out, we can find substrings and all that other stuff. So for instance, if I went get my friend, then that would be the same thing. Whoops. That would be the same thing. I'm looking for my touring. Sorry about that, going all over the place. So maybe I want, in this one, is get my friends 3. And so that would, it's just going to be a blinking cursor waiting for me to enter something. And then I press enter. It runs that piece of code. And now if I wanted to put, I could print that thing back out again. My friends 3 would be whatever I enter there. And if I run that again, that's going to work. There we go. Friends 1. My friends 1 was Ferd. My friends 3 was the thing that I entered. And now I'm using my array entries in the same way that I did variables. It's just that I don't have to have 10 different variable names. Friend 1, friend 2, friend 3, and so on. So I could put them out. I could test them in I could test them in a statement, and use them in a loop or whatever. And I'm going to actually show you that about the loops. Okay, I'm going to do a little example. It says, even better, use a loop. So let's make a little program, and I'm going to use my friends array, and I'm also going to put phone nums in here, which is going to be, well, a phone number. It sounds like it should be integers, but it's not. It's a string as well, isn't it? I'm not going to bother typing too much in here, but what do I want to do? I'm going to have a loop for n4, and then in the loop I'm going to have var I equals 1. Sorry there, folks. There's a little bit of I was using a little bit of JavaScript there. So what's the notation for a for loop? We have I colon 1 dot 10, and then I can ask for get my friends, and maybe I want to put a little bit of a prompt in here, friend, and then I'm going to put I, so I know that it's which friend I'm going to have, and then I'm staying on the same line so it looks nice. And then I'm going to copy this code, so number, and then it's going to read that into there, phone nums, and I'm going to see that this works, by the way. Oh, 4 errors. Because my friends is an array. It says illegal get item. Remember, I have to access the individual spots, right? Individual spots like this. So what didn't it like there? Syntax error at dot dot. How do we stay on the same line? Well, I'm not going to worry about it. You guys can remember how to do this. I got Java all scrambled up in my brain. It's hard for me to remember. Okay, let's try that. So friend one is F, number one, friend two. You see this? Oops, I'm just going to pound through this real quick, show you that it works. Gets all the numbers and all the friends, and that's it. So, well, that's all it did. Why? Well, these were all stored. If I wanted to actually see them, then I would have to have an output. I'll have a output loop. Here's the input loop. And I have my output loop, which is going to look a lot the same. But if I wanted to just put those values out, my friends, and say, put that in a spot that's got maybe 10 places, and then I'm going to put phone num I, oops, I in a spot that's got how many ever places, and then that should look pretty good. It's going to space it out a little bit, I think. Let me just get through here real quick. I should clear the screen, but there's my table of friends, all E's, and my table of numbers. And of course, yeah, you should tidy it up. You should clear the screen, and you should put titles. And remember, you should have a header for all these programs. But this is how we use arrays. Isn't this way more efficient than the program that you came up with for your warm-up? You probably had 30 or 40 lines of code, and this was 17, right? Okay, so I want you to get that into your note. Take a picture of that, and maybe you want to clean it up so it's got nice titles in it and all that other business. I'll leave that up to you to tidy it up, tidy up your note. And then, let's see, looks like I've got a little note to self here. It says, hey self, note about related arrays. Okay, what's the note about related arrays? Well, notice that in an array, the subscript here. So I had all my friends listed in an array from 1 to 10, and that was dandy. And then I had all the phone numbers. But say I wanted the fifth person. Well, their phone number would be the fifth phone number. So if I wanted to access the phone number of the fifth person, I would know to print out phone number 5. The two arrays are related because of their subscript. So everybody with the same subscript would be the same person. Okay, and then when if I wanted to add another array to have some more details about that person, well, then that would be the fifth one, or whatever the subscript would be. Okay, there's a few exercises for you to play with, more things to investigate with arrays, but that's all I have to say about that, I think. Off doing your exercises.